And if anything happens in this next year, you want to ever call me Nostradamus, Iran is going to detonate an atomic bomb
Right.
this year.
I mean, Malcolm, we were saying, I don't know whether it's this, 24-hour news cycle, but just them laughing in front of, alligator Auschwitz and passing this awful bill. It's hard to, I think, as a human with any degree of empathy or a soul to kind of absorb, isn't it?
It is. And this is, I did a spaces yesterday on Chatter. And one of the people that came out there was a MAGA person. And they essentially challenged me to say how any of this was awful. And I explained to them that, even though I was at one point, Colin Powell, like conservative, which is now flaming left liberal,
Right.
Right.
that I have empathy for people. Democrats like people. We don't want to see people hurt. We want to see people supported. And that I didn't go overseas and fight and protect all of these rights for decades to see us start acting like the Nazis.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm
Well,
seeing here, especially with this concentration camp that they have in Florida. And that's the only word you can say.
that's right.
It's you can say, oh, it's actually just an internment camp until they put them on an airplane and disappear them overseas. Well, that's just as bad.
I mean, Malcolm, to your point about asking Glenn Kirschner, you retweeted John Cooper, who said literal cages in sweltering 100-degree temperatures. Ron DeSantis should be brought up on criminal charges. I mean, someone else pointed out, as a pet lover, you can't keep pets in those conditions, or someone would call animal control on you, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And here's the kicker. There are camps like this in Texas, Arizona, Louisiana, and if I understand that in Texas, they are keeping children in those exact conditions. There was a doctor who was interviewed yesterday, and she was saying how they were finding the teens and preteens were having to take care of children as young as 1.5-year-old who were walking around with no diapers, urinating on the floors because they deliberately chose to separate parents from the children as punishment and are keeping them in these inhumane conditions. I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a little tangent here. I said this also yesterday on my spaces. If we win the presidency next time and we control the House and the Senate, or even just the presidency, that unitary king-like president that they've created for Donald Trump, a president AOC, could order to send people to The Hague to be brought up on
Yeah.
crimes against humanity with some of the stuff that they're doing. I'm ashamed that I had, that this is happening in my country.
Yeah. I mean, Malcolm, not to trigger you further,
No,
but Stuart
no.
Stevens, speaking of, former Republican, said every Republican who claims they support Ukraine and voted for Trump lied. We have a functional Russian asset as president elected in 2016 with Russia's help. You've heard that in all the other horrible news. He's cut off military help for Ukraine.
Yes, and interestingly enough, you're getting me on all the subjects that I spoke about. In the middle of the night, the BBC called me and had me talk about their morning news hour, to explain this. And I was, again, ashamed to have to say that the United States is claiming that we are keeping these air defense weapons for our own purposes, to keep our inventories high for a war, when in fact the war that we would be fighting is literally in Ukraine. It's a death sentence for these people that they're keeping Patriot missiles, the NSAM missiles. Let me tell you, there is nothing to do with inventory. Our inventory, we have the ability to generate enormous amounts of resources if we want. And every one of the missiles we send to Ukraine are not the newest. They're the oldest.
Yeah.
Same thing with the artillery shells. They've cut off shipments of artillery shells, which, by the way, was running 3 factories in the United States, all in red districts, which are now going to stop providing artillery shells to Ukraine. It's disgraceful.
Yeah. Malcolm, you wrote a piece how Iran won the U.S.-Israeli 12-day war. I mean, you got to just talk about this degree of just nonsense that this has become. I mean, obviously, Trump has been, he, as usual, lied, got caught, doubled and tripled down, right? I mean, whether it's the UN and weapons inspector or it's, I was saying the most credible is probably intercepting those Iranian calls, right? Because I wouldn't trust what they say publicly, but what they said privately is that, they were surprised how little damage was done, right?
Well, I'm not going to speak to that because that's the sort of world I came from.
Right.
But I will say this. I'm sure I have educated you all enough to be little mini Malcolms to understand that when you have communications that are internal like that, private,
Yeah.
they don't lie to each other.
Right.
They lie to their wives. They don't lie to their mistresses. And this is the kind of call where they were like, what happened, man? And the other guy's like, I don't know. I thought we were supposed to get our butts kicked. And they were like, well, that was mild. We got all the uranium out. Let's blow up an atomic bomb.
Yeah.
That is probably very credible. And here's the kicker. The people who released that little tidbit there are probably right in Tulsi Gabbard's office because they hate her.
Yeah.
And they're not going to perpetuate a lie. My article on how Iran won was simple. Iran won that war by retaining their almost 1,000 pounds of atomic bomb grade uranium. And if anything happens in this next year, you want to ever call me Nostradamus, Iran is going to detonate an atomic bomb this year. It's a national imperative for them.
And Chris Coons called it exactly, which is why Trump, lost his mind about it, is he said Trump's trying to get the exact same deal Obama had, basically.
Okay, hit the music. Hit the music. You know what I want to hear?
Which one?
When the black guy did it.
Oh, because the black guy did it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why that deal was bad.
Jeez, you should just have that on. I don't have to say a word. You just explained it with this song.
Everything was wrong when the black guy did it. Okay. Hey, are you traveling this summer? Will you leave instructions for your house sitter, the name and number of your vet, maybe, the code to your alarm system? Think about the steps you take to prepare for vacation, and you'll get a sense of what goes into a knockbox. Just go to theknockbox.com, use the code Stephanie. Knockbox is a complete system that helps you organize all of your accounts, possessions, and estate plans for your next of kin. Each knockbox, that's NOKBOX, comes with a comprehensive checklist that helps ensure you add everything they'll need to manage your estate when you are gone. From your funeral directives to your insurance policies, even the keys to your storage unit, the knockbox helps you organize it all. If you've got a household, you need a knockbox. Right now, Stephanie Miller listeners save 16% off the knockbox of your choice. Just go to theknockbox.com/Stephanie. That's theknockbox.com/Stephanie to get 16% off. Stay calm, get organized today.